in Atlanta. And I feel very connected to his book. Very, very connected. And I am an avid reader, and if I don't have time to read, I listen to audiobooks. And so I had to just share with him, on a sidebar, that his book touched me like within the first 6 seconds. It was like, wow. I've never read anything like it before, just because it hits home automatic. It's very interesting. It makes your mind go to things that I think that you typically wouldn't think of. I think it's very unconventional. I found it to be very well done. I found it to be very on time. When you read a lot of things, you just try to look for ways, how does this apply to me, right? Like, I'm kind of one of those people. How does this, okay. I'm a sifter of information, and I utilize what is good, and I kind of trim the fat. Well, his book is all meat, no fat. And so I enjoyed it. I felt full mentally. I think it's a different thing when you can appeal to someone's intellect mentally, spiritually, and from all of those aspects, and professionally. And so I've never ever had this kind of feedback off of anyone's project before. And I always say no business is the same, no author is the same. No artist is the same, no speaker is the same. But for me personally, I found his book to be excellent. So I want to read about him before he comes up here. I think that he has a lot of inspirational things to say. Our next guest, he is a visionary. He's a CEO behind Kingdom Coaching Global, a coaching company with a mission that inspires all to transform 1,000 lives and build 1,000 men into kings for the kingdom of Christ. His unique approach blends spirituality, personal development, and leadership into a powerful formula for success. Kris, he's the author of the acclaimed 30-30 Method, a groundbreaking book that has been a blueprint for success, showing how dedicating just 30 minutes daily to spiritual, career, personal, and physical development can lead to a purpose, fulfillment, and achievement. He has over 15 years of expertise in the music industry as an artist, songwriter, executive producer, and artist development specialist. He's been a guiding light in the realms of leadership, team building, and executive leadership development within and beyond the world of music. He doesn't just inspire, he empowers individuals to unlock their potential and become the leaders they were meant to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Kris Jones to the stage. Amazing guy.
Thank you all for coming to talk to me today as I talk to you all. You all look gorgeous and handsome and amazing, so thank you all. Clap it up for yourselves.
Right.
Did you? Because
I
almost went. Okay, we ain't doing it. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. I mean, I didn't want to spill all the tea, but I think I mentioned earlier when, Ronnie was up here, is that I found his book to be, there's a unique element in his book, and I found that element in your book. It was a nice, pleasant surprise for me, because I was not expecting that. I like practical application, and I think that a lot of people in here would probably appreciate, the practical aspect of your book. But I want you to share with them, just kind of right out the gate, what's the unique element that I'm referring to in your book?
So it's a journal that I believe she's referring to. The journal is located in the back of the book. It's important for us to know when we're going on a journey to document, right? And that's entrepreneurially, and it's also personally. And so for this book, I know that we have triggers that are associated with failure. I'm gonna let that marinate, okay? So what happens is when you fail, because we do that, because that's part of progression, you need to know what caused that snare, so when you go again, because you should be going again, you don't get hemmed up by the snare. Amen? So I think that's like the main thing that I want people to, like, it's okay for you to document your success, your failures, your thoughts. This journey is a new journey for some. This journey is a reoccurring journey for some. And at the end of the day, we want to keep going. That's the whole plan.
Right. And that's the part that I loved about your book. When I turned the page, I downloaded it to a Kindle, so as I turned the page. I saw that and I was like, okay, what did I miss?
Like those lines, right?
And I said, you know what, I'm taking the 30-30. First of all, I said I'm doing this because I've never done that before. I track what I do in a different method.
Okay.
And I feel like I can appreciate the way that you outlined it to say, okay, the before, the after, tracking the journey so you know where you're going.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that that's very helpful for me as well. And so your book just was a target. It just hit.
I give it all to him.
It hit. And so, you know, I have to ask, and you shared a lot of this in your book, but, you know, for those that have not read your book, you know, where did the inspiration come from? Like, why did you write this book?
So to be honest, I was talking to my mentor, and his name is Joseph Pridgeon. I know he'll be watching it. So he was like, King, you got to write your book. And I'm like, I don't want to write a book. Like, I don't want to do that. And so I was like, well, I started thinking about writing a book. And then I'm like, well, I'm not ready to write this memoir thing because my life is still, I'm not there. And so as I was praying about it, God was just like, I need you to share with the world what you do with your clients. And that's the method that I use with my clients. So I wanted to share it. And he was like, global. You know, God sometimes it's funny how he communicates. He might give you one word and it means like a bunch of stuff. So that's where we at.
All right. So let's take it a bit further. So the tools that you tell us, you know, how have you applied them to your own life?
So the funny thing is, in making that book, I had a moment where it was like self-talk. And I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but in your journey, you hold yourself to a certain standard. Now, we understand that standard is the floor. So whatever that floor is, we could either raise it to a ceiling or keep it at the floor. And so I was like, well, it's been a while since I had done it. And so to bring it in, it was just like I wanted to challenge myself to make sure that this is what it is before I gave it out. So I just went in and it started with praise and worship more. It started with learning that you can communicate. In 30 minutes, everybody, is just at least. So the goal is for you to get in practice to increasing it. So once I started doing it, I started seeing changes in my mindset, my behavior, my approach to the book while creating it, my approach to my staff, my team, like my body. I lost 30 pounds in a month. Like, and that's a lot for me. I don't know what y'all got. That was a lot. You know what I mean? And so the level of discipline in the routine, because I'm like Mr. Davis, I'm not a systems guy.
Right.
I'm a vision guy. But you need discipline in systems in order to make the vision come true. So that whole thing just, I'm living it.
It interconnects. And that's kind of what I want you to kind of go into, you know, that the spirit, mind, body connected, you know, it's all interconnected. And so for those that kind of, their mind doesn't maybe readily go in that direction, how do you define that as far as how that's important in the world of entrepreneurship and being able to own a business and thrive? You know, what is the interconnectedness of that process?
So to make it brief, we are creations of or from a creator. And so in creation, you need intention. Intention comes from direction. You can't get direction if you're not in alignment, right? So you need alignment in order to know where you're going. When you know where you're going, you're more confident in where you're going, right? And then when you have that level of consciousness of what the vision is, there's a certain level of intensity that you can go about it with. So for me, it all interchanges because purpose comes profit. If you are in your purpose, profit is no longer an issue, which therefore expands your ability to do what the actual purpose is.
Okay.
So it all stems from alignment. And you can't get alignment without conversation. That's prayer. All right.
Okay, yeah, 100%. And that's, I think, a part of the first forefront of your book. You talk about alignment. And that was deep. It was a really interesting insight to bring into your elements of the spirit, mind, and body transformation. And so my question to you is, you know, on your journey, because you've done a lot, you know, your music and you're the CEO of the global, you know, and you're constantly, you know, you're a visionary. Yeah. Essentially, you have this mantle that's a visionary. And so I'm just curious on, you know, something that you can glean from your experiences to share with us today. You know, what's the one memorable thing and one tool maybe that you use aside from the 30-30 method to help us today?
So I'll talk about the recent switch in purpose, if you will, or should I say my alignment period. There's times where God will allow you to think that your desires are purpose, right? And that's to get you where he needs you to be. And so for me, coming here to Atlanta a year and a half ago, I had a set of things that I figured, because they were my passions, and there was purpose. And so I'm here doing the music thing, connecting the dots. And then suddenly I got a audio voice that was like, I need you to stop doing that, and I need you to do I need you to do this, and I need you to do it full time. And so for me, what I had to do in order to accept that, though, was I had to step back. So if we're talking about takeaways and things that I do outside of that, is to be able to step back and be okay with loss.
Yes.
Right? Like loss, we all have different relationships with loss, and it means something different to everybody, right? But in order for you to gain, you gotta be okay with what?
Loss.
Right? So for me, that was the thing. Like, okay, I'm gonna let go of the thing that I thought was the thing, and hear what you're telling me now.
That's good.
It's intense.
That's intense. So I think that, we discussed earlier about the importance of mentorship and a coach. And I think I commend coaches and mentors because it's needed.
Absolutely.
And so in your journeys as a coach, I think that, what if you're on the flip side of that? What if those today maybe, have never been a mentor? Or, I think that the way we've kind of discussed it today is that, hey, which they do, every entrepreneur and CEO should have like a mentor.
Absolutely.
What if you're kind of in your lane and you're in your field and you've never mentored? Or, what's the purpose and the value of that? Just having that extra connection in that regard.
So like to be one, I just want to make sure I understand.
To be one, yes.
You don't get what God gave you just for you. You don't get your experiences just for you. You don't get your mistakes just for you. Everything that we go through and grow through is supposed to be a tribute to God's grace and ability to deliver us, which means He can deliver someone else. So it is a responsibility when housed with a certain level of wisdom, experience, insight, to give it to someone else. That is the ultimate contribution to human flourishing, and that is purpose. So that's what you do.
I like that. I like that. That's really good. I think that, as you're, because you're from New York.
Amen. All right. Amen.
And you're here now. And so there's a lot of the folks here today, they are here in your backyard. And so, what kind of is the tool that you use kind of an everyday, like, okay, a resource maybe that they can grasp in their own journeys as they are, overcoming challenges, and maybe even the networking events, for example. Like, how do you grasp the most out of those moments? Because I'm asking you this because, I get that question a lot within the company. People that are like, how do I utilize this? How do I leverage the networking? I don't want to go and leave empty-handed. I don't want to feel like I'm another number. How can I connect? What can I do to make myself stand out? Or what opportunities are there? How do they separate themselves and use that as a tool? So I'm just curious, with you being in Atlanta and the folks here being in Atlanta, how do you navigate that process, networking?
So I'm gonna say it again, and I'm saying this because it's how I live my life, guys. Like, this isn't like, oh, I'm just making it up, and like, this is a thing. The more you pray, the more time you spend in prayer, right? And not just speaking, being quiet, to listen, right? Your prayers start to change, and then you start saying things that He wants to respond to.
Yes.
So it looks like, Lord, okay, I'm going to this event. Show me who I'm to connect with. Every number isn't the number with your divine connection attached to it, right? What does it look like? Help me with my perception of how I see myself. I'm almost done, but I gotta bring it in. How do I see? Help me see myself the way they see me. Because you could think you're the nicest person, like she said, and really you're repulsive. Or the things that you're going through, I'm being aware because self-awareness is necessary in order for growth.
Exactly.
And the last thing I would say with that is be okay with specifics. Usually entrepreneurs, and it happened to me, where like you try to serve everybody, you try to be with everybody, You try to connect to the people that you think are lit. I'm using lit, cloud, whatever, popular. Okay. That may not be your place. So you have to be self-aware enough, which only comes from where, y'all? God. Okay, how do you do that?
Pray.
Okay, so when you do that, you move with a different level of intention, and then the people start gravitating to you.
Yeah.
That's true. And you also talk about that. So what's next? How can those of us today connect with you? We have your QR up, and this QR specifically goes to your book automatically.
Okay.
So we want to know, as far as your platform, how can we connect with you on social? How do we do that?
Absolutely. So I have a website, but we're just going to use the Instagram today. It's Coach Kris, Kris, Jones, Jones. It's all one word. Coach Kris Jones. And it's on multiple. I'm on Instagram. I'm on all that. And I'll make sure I tap in with everybody before we leave so we can talk, man, because I'm here to serve.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.